How tough are tribes as military enemies? Afghan tribes defeated and killed Cyrus the Great of Persia. They fought Alexander to a standstill. They beat the British in the 19th century at the height of the British imperial power twice, and they humbled the mighty Russian army, which was the blow in the 1980s, the blow that really finished off the Soviet Union. Tribal warriors are so tough to fight because the primary occupation of a tribal male is warrior. In most tribes, all other occupations are absolutely forbidden. One further distinction about tribal fighters is that they're not soldiers, they're warriors, which means that they don't fight for a cause or an ideology or even for money. They fight for personal, family, and tribal honor. Each tribe considers itself the original chosen people. If you think about the names that tribes have for themselves, like the Navajo call themselves the Diné, which means the people. So the tribes think of themselves as the center of the world and everything else is an outsider, not part of the tribe. Tribes are perpetually at war with all other tribes. If you think about the Plains Indians of the American West, the Sioux were constantly at war with the Crow and the Blackfeet, and the Comanche never gave the Apache a moment's rest. There's a true story that in 333 BC, a delegation went to visit Alexander to try to convince him not to invade their territory. And what they said to him was, "You may defeat us, but you will never defeat our poverty." Tribes thrive on hardship and adversity. Tribes are primitive. That's what gives them their strength. Afghanistan today is the fourth poorest country on earth. But to the tribal mind, as a war-making machine, that's an advantage because they believe that time is on their side in the sense that the Western enemy can't endure the same level of hardship and adversity that they can because they've been inured to it over millennia. So the tribes believe that the Western enemy is going to quit. He's going to pack up and go home. They always have in the past, and they always will in the future. I was reading an article about Ariel Sharon, who was a tribal leader, if there ever was one, and he was walking with a reporter through a certain part of Israel, and he pointed up into the mountains, and he said that the biblical character Abigail lived out her story in these mountains. And as he was telling the story, he began to weep. And what that meant was that this story that happened 3,000, 4,000 years ago was still absolutely viscerally alive to Sharon today. To the Arabs, the Crusades happened yesterday. And that is one of the functions of the tribal mind. One of the attributes of the tribal mind is you can crush it in one century and they'll come back 2 centuries, 3 centuries later just as pissed off as they were the first time. I have a friend in the Special Forces, Major Jim Gann. He says that there's a saying over there in Afghanistan that we've got the watches, but they've got the time. In our own society, we train our warriors essentially to be tribes. If you think about Marine boot camp, Army Ranger training, Navy SEAL training, the whole process is to take Western individuals and turn them into a tribe, to inculcate the exact virtues that we've been talking about. Cohesiveness, loyalty, hostility to all outsiders, a code of honor. All of these warrior virtues are tribal virtues. I'm venturing beyond my pay grade to address this issue, but it does seem to me that Islam forms almost a perfect overlay over tribalism because both of them value the same virtues: warrior pride, God-fearingness, fidelity, loyalty, hostility to all outsiders, reverence for the ancestors and tradition, the ancient ways. Islam and tribalism deliver the same psychological payoffs too. Islam gives you that sense that you belong, a sense that you're part of a group greater than yourself. It provides significance to your life. There's a meaning to what you're doing. It's an entity that's greater than yourself to which you can belong and that supports you. Islam, just like tribalism, is a highly structured system. You know who your enemies are, you know who your friends are, you know what to wear, you know how to feel, how to treat women, you know what to eat, when to pray, what to say when you pray. Islam, like tribalism, prizes male virtues and suppresses women. It supports all insiders and despises all outsiders. It's a warrior religion, a religion of the sword. And in that way, too, it mirrors tribalism exactly. Islam is tribalism on steroids. It takes tribalism to the next level. It creates a super tribe that allows each individual tribal society to move to a global level. For instance, if you're a tribe in a valley in Afghanistan, if you're in Anbar province in Iraq or in Arabia or in Palestine, Islam gives you this super tribe to which you can belong that's global in scope, but yet keeps all the tribal values and all the things that the virtues that tribesmen prize. Now, the other thing that Islam brings to tribalism that's kind of dangerous for us in the West and makes it inflammatory is Islam brings an expansionist dimension to tribalism. Tribes traditionally were stay-at-home fighters. They were at their best defending home turf against an invader. Islam adds a convert the unbelievers aspect to tribalism. In other words, it's not enough just to believe in your own little area or to be what you are in your own little area. It's an obligation to convert the unbelievers and bring them into the fold. So that creates this expansionist, imperialist dimension that is very inflammatory in the world today. Think about Osama bin Laden. Now, he is really a highly educated son of an incredibly wealthy man. He could very easily wear a Savile Row business suit and pull it off. But he chooses not to do that. He chooses to present himself to his audience wearing a beard and a shalwar kameez, and he's in a cave. Even now, Osama bin Laden is not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. What he is presenting to the tribal East is that image of the ancient, proud, traditional warrior, and that plays like gangbusters throughout tribal society in the East.